Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Friday weather update, recorded on the 27th of December. Hope you've had a great couple of days. Let's get into the forecast. We've got this big storm off the east coast of the North Island, deepening to about 970 hectopascals. That's quite low air pressure, and that's the reason why you got gale force winds all around it, possibly severe gale brushing the eastern side of the North Island, where there's also been a bit of rain. Windy around Auckland, Coromandel Peninsula and other parts of the top of the North Island, and also down around Wellington and Cook Strait as well. But high pressure in the Tasman, stretching all the way down and over the South Island. Another high pressure zone there just off the coast of Dunedin. And so those two are basically moving into the South Island, bringing a much more settled end to the week than the North Island is getting. So as we go into the weekend, well, the storm offshore from the North Island is still there. It weakens a little bit, but it still means there's a little bit of wet weather, mostly from about Mahia Peninsula up to about East Cape, and windy stuff sort of going down to about southern Hawke's Bay and easing slowly across the top of the North Island. Lighter winds around the South Island. We do have a front just coming through into Fiordland by the afternoon. That's not going to produce very much rain. Now the air pressure, it's worth noting that these two highs, the one north of New Zealand and the other one south of the Chatham Islands, pretty low air pressure for a high pressure zone. So you've got these very deep low pressure zones around us, the one east of us, another one south of New Zealand there, and the high pressure zones kind of blocking them away. They're not very big, not very powerful, but they are big enough to just come in and bring some settled weather going into the weekend. So by Sunday, the North Island finally has those winds fading out, the rain clouds clear off, and now they're moving into the west coast, or moving up the west coast, and there might just be some spillover coming into Southland and Otago, whether that's just a few spits or it might be an afternoon downpour that starts to bubble up. So that will move around a wee bit in the next couple of days. So we go into next week. Monday kicks off with a southerly change. The next high pressure zone in the Tasman, not very strong, once again, 10-19 hectopascals. The low out to the east of the North Island continues to weaken, so that no longer affects our weather really. So now we're seeing the southerly come in. Now it might be a easterly wind if you live around Canterbury and Otago, just depends on the exact sort of placement on the day. But there is low pressure forming around the country, and so summertime heat, add in a cooler southerly flow, and that could produce some afternoon thunderstorms or downpours that move up the eastern side of the country during the afternoon and potentially into the North Island side overnight and going into New Year's Eve. And so New Year's Eve is looking unsettled. Kind of similar weather to what we're getting today, actually. Friday this week might be repeated again on Tuesday next week. Although the low that's east of the North Island doesn't look anywhere near as powerful as the one we've got at the moment. So 992, 990 hectopascals. That makes for another windy southeasterly around the North Island. More wet weather into the eastern and southern sides of the North Island, and you might even see a couple of afternoon downpours forming further north, and it's still a bit windy. Southeasterlies and southerlies and southwesterlies blowing around the North Island. Going into the South Island, you've got southeasterly winds coming through, caught up with that low, so that could produce some showers or drizzle patches and even some afternoon downpours and thunderstorms for the top half of the island. But the lower half of the South Island looks like the place to be to farewell 2024. Worth also pointing out the high in the Tasman, 10-15, it's not very strong, so that's not exactly the most dominant high, but we are seeing more high pressure zones as we go into January, but it is still not settled, still very stormy down here over the Southern Ocean. The highs though, they've come down to the right latitude, which means as they cross over the Tasman Sea, they've got a much better chance coming in over us, or even sometimes dropping a little bit further south than us. That can sort of break up some of this windy weather at times, unless of course a low like that one forms. So that low is moving away from us as we kick off 2025. But there could be thunderstorms, showers, downpours around on the 1st of January, but high pressure in the Tasman Sea is coming on through. Up in the tropics, still no signs of anything like La Nina yet. There's nothing big and dramatic happening, but of course at this time of the year things can change very quickly to our north. But I would suggest the Southern Ocean and the highs around Australia, as they've been doing since August, are still dominating New Zealand's weather pattern as we go into the start of next year. So that is all from me. Oh, before I go, still got one more update on the Vendée Globe if you're interested in that. Look at this, the lead boats are now over the Atlantic Ocean. The boats at the back of it are just leaving the Indian Ocean, and then the rest of them are coming into the Pacific Ocean. So that's quite a distance. Halfway mark on this round the world solo yacht trip is around about Tasmania to Stewart Island in this zone here. And the New Zealander Conrad Coleman is in this pack, just past Dunedin, is now moving east-south of the Chatham Islands. Actually not in a bad spot. Storms to the north, the other storm over by Tasmania, the next one way out here, Point Nemo, the furthest point from land on Earth. So there you go, lots to talk about. So we are around a little bit over the next couple of days. We're back again on Monday and again on New Year's Eve, but then we have no videos for the first couple of weeks of January. Hopefully that means there's not a lot of drama happening, but if there is something big, obviously we'll come back and do a video. But for now, it looks as though we're returning on Monday, January the 13th. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I'll see you again on Monday.